Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you this morning. And it's a foggy day out there. And we'll get to that. We have a fog advisory. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. We got a lot of headlines today to talk about. It's pretty much straightforward. Some very sad news that we had talked about that occurred in Coniston on Sunday night. We won't go too much into that. We'll just give as much of an update as we have. And there's just a lot of stuff to go over today. But we have a new coach for the Sudbury Wolves. We're going to have a new president of Laurentian University, and much more. Anyways, so stay tuned today. It'll be a show that's packed with a lot of information. You can catch us live on CKLU on the radio, CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU streaming on the internet at cklu.ca. Click on the Radio Player Canada logo, and you could basically stream us from that, or you can download the Radio Player Canada app and take us with you on your favorite device. Listen to us anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. And I think we might have comments this morning on our Facebook Live. And yes, we do. For no apparent reason whatsoever, we have comments working. And I love that, because there's just no reason why they're working today and they weren't working yesterday or any other day. Good morning, Lise. But I'm glad they are working. Yes, there's no rhyme or reason for it. But I'll take that. And I'll also just let everyone know to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff on our socials. So we just created a TikTok yesterday. First time, Sudbury News TikTok. I don't know how we're going to use it, but I thought I would at least get the naming rights to it before somebody else just calls themselves Sudbury News and gets the TikTok. So I don't know. I'll have to take some lessons from Natalie Labby, who used, I think, TikTok for her campaign. And some other younger people, they know how to use it. So facebook.com/Sudbury News, where you can catch us live, youtube.com/Sudbury News, or Sudbury.news. You go to the Sudbury News Talk section, you just click on that, and that's another way you can watch us. But I'm glad to have with me today my co-host today. It's Billy. Billy is back, and thanks for being here today, Billy. How you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing as good as I usually do in the mornings.
Oh no. Yeah. So Billy, I think, no, I mean that. No, I mean, if you're not doing good, I don't mean, oh no, it's going to be something that, we've had before. Cause
every morning, just this murky sort of, ball. It's like, it emerges from there if it's a good day or a bad day kind of thing. So.
Oh, okay. Well, today's going to be a good day.
It's going to be a good day.
Yeah, so let's just dive right into it. Let's get the weather gone through, and let's get to the headlines, and we'll talk more when we come back right after this. Currently, there is a fog advisory here from Environment Canada, and it says, I love Environment Canada's warnings, because they basically run through, kind of like what fog is and what are some of the almost the basic things that we need to watch out for. But there's dense fog expected this morning, and if it's anything like it was yesterday, driving in that fog, there was times where you couldn't see 20 feet in front of you. So take care on the roads today if you have to get out there and drive. So this morning, visibility may be significantly and suddenly reduced to near zero. If visibility is reduced while driving, slow down, watch for tailgate headlights, and prepare to stop. Please continue to monitor alerts and forecast issued by Environment Canada. To report severe weather, send an email to onstorm@ec.gc.ca or tweet reports using hashtag #ONStorm. I never knew that, so I learned something new today. So currently it's 2 degrees. There is fog, as mentioned, 100% humidity due to that fog. But today, it'll be partly cloudy, becoming sunny this morning. Fog patches will be dissipating by the end of the morning. Wind will be southwest 20 kilometers late this morning. High today, 14 degrees, UV index 3 or moderate. Now tonight, clear, fog patches developing again this evening. Looks like we're getting fog. It's fog season. Heavy fog season. And if you were in Espanola yesterday, you would have saw more than just fog. There was like this dark mist coming from I don't know where, but it was huge. And it wasn't coming from the plant here. The plant had its own stuff coming out, and there's this really dark fog coming from west of the city. And it had like an interesting odor to it as well. But anyways, it happens quite often in Espanola. Like half the town is covered in this mysterious fog, and then the other half isn't. Weird stuff. Anyways, that's what was happening yesterday here in Espanola. But anyways, in Greater Sudbury, Wednesday, sunny, fog patches dissipating again in the morning, and the wind will be from the southeast, 20 kilometers, becoming light near noon, high of 13, so pretty much carbon copy of the previous day. Wednesday, sunny, 13. Thursday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 15. Friday, high of 15. Chance of precipitation, however, 60%. And the same for Saturday, 60%. High of 15, high of 13 on Friday and Saturday. And so that's what your weekend is forecast to be currently. Let's just hope that it changes its mind and plans to be a little more sunny. So on that note, here's a look at your satellite image over Northern Ontario if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Sudbury.news. If you're listening on the radio, it just looks like a mixed bag of some clouds just here and there and some openings. So you're not missing too much. But what you will be missing if you don't stay tuned is Billy coming back right after this and us talking about all of the things going on in Greater Sudbury. We'll be back right after this. So headlines for going through everything. There's some sad news out of Coniston yesterday. If you were watching the news, paying attention to it in any way, shape, or form, you couldn't help but notice, the updates from the family that perished in Coniston. So I just thought I would play the latest from CTV on that, and then that way we'll just that's it. This is the latest on that situation, brought to you by CTV. We'll just take a look at this and listen, and we'll be back right after this.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Right off the top, we go to the latest on a homicide investigation in the Sudbury area after 3 bodies were found in the home in a community in Coniston last night. The victims identified as a father and a mother and their 17-year-old son, all of whom lived in the home together, and it's being treated as a murder-suicide. Here's CTV's Amanda Hicks.
The streets are quiet now in the tragic aftermath that struck a small community in Greater Sudbury. Police say a family of 3 died in their home last night, and they are now offering a few more details.
The investigation is ongoing in relation to this matter. However, it is believed to be a murder-suicide.
Police were called to the home shortly before 6:30 last night over what they termed unknown trouble.
and it was a concerned friend who was looking for information regarding the family, as they had not been seen in a certain amount of time, and they wanted to check on their well-being.
Officers entered to find the bodies of a man, a woman, and a teenage boy.
Upon arrival, officers entered the home and located 3 people deceased. They have been confirmed as a 46-year-old man, a 43-year-old woman, and a 17-year-old boy, a father, mother, and son who all lived inside the home.
Now identified as Brian, Janet, and Ashton DeSormo. Neighbors who knew the family described them as kind and said they would have never expected something like this to happen here. Police say the investigation is ongoing at this time, and details about what transpired leading up to this tragedy are unknown. Police also say this is an isolated incident and there's no risk to public safety. The cause of death will be determined by autopsies, which will be carried out Tuesday. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
Amanda, thank you for that. And more is available on our website on this tragic story. Details and a timeline and all that we know and the police have told us are up there for you at ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca.
So yeah, very sad there, Billy. When did you hear about that for the first time?
Actually, I think it was yesterday morning on the way to work. You were talking about it. I think it had just happened, I guess, the previous night or something.
Yeah, exactly. So when they were referring to last night in the news story, I just have to say that was from the 6 o'clock news yesterday. So it was Sunday around 6 o'clock.
Yes. No. So it's so horrific, and it's spent actually quite a bit of yesterday kind of thinking about that, and yeah, it's one of those things. It's very difficult to talk about, and I can just imagine what it'd be for the family, and with all the all the news. I don't know. I just don't know. Feels like there should be like a minimal period just to let just things are so raw about it right now.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the one, I guess, journalistic angle I wanted to talk about with this, aside from how sad and horrific and painful that it is for those involved, and our hearts go out to the family and friends of the family. We don't know what exactly transpired or why at this moment, and that's what journalism would want to kind of, find out to inform the public. One of the things, though, that the journalists are required to do is, if there is something like this, is to alert the community that something happened, but that they're in no danger. And that is something in communications you do have to do. And they did a good job at that. Okay, there's no danger to anyone else, even though they have found this family who were deceased. One thing, though, and I think you just alluded to it, was the time frame in which to, I guess, publicize some of the details, not to give some of the immediate family and friends time to process. And there was a comment on the CTV article, and it was very berating to the organization. They said, basically, how dare you, you took a picture of this family, you ripped it off Facebook, and you just plastered it all over the place, that there was no tact there whatsoever. And sure enough, here was me. I just finished sharing it from them, and then I read that comment, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, there is something there to be said about the process in journalism, and what is the protocol? Is there a standard? I don't know. Is there this kind of unwritten thing that journalists should do? This kind of rule of journalism to just give it some time, maybe 24 hours or something, and then after that, and then everyone knows, okay, you're not going to find out any information until 24 hours, unless there is a danger to others, right? That you need to know, because you yourself need to take some precautions, because you could be in danger too. But other than that, if it's determined there's no danger, maybe should there be some kind of standard or something, just for this?
Yeah, I'm
reason?
not too sure, and I guess, who imposes that standard, it's probably comes down to it's probably better for the industry to moderate itself than
Yeah,
have some sort of government,
exactly.
because you want to be careful of any slippery slopes in the press.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not sure what the balance is, but I mean, there's definitely, this does have to get reported because
Yep.
there's definitely some societal implications a lot of times, like you want to find the reasons. And if there's issues going on in society that need to be addressed, that has to be, you have to make these connections.
It's true. And it is. This is what journalism does, and what this show is. It kind of brings people together in a community, because we're all experiencing community. We're all experiencing things as a group. And how do you handle these things? Sometimes things are done very well, and sometimes we can improve on these types of things. I just wanted to give a shout out because our comment section thing is working this morning on the screen. So, David, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Shane, good morning. Thanks for being here. And yes, Shane reached out to me, and he wants to basically use some of his talents and skills and resources that he has in journalism to
Awesome.
contribute to the show. So we're looking forward to that. Good morning, Julia. Speaking of somebody who reached out to us and has been on now 2 of our shows, very good co-host, and Brian as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah, Brian as well, who's come on and done his tech segment last Friday. And Julia is saying that she heard. Okay, I got to read from over here.
Yeah, that's Jesse.
Oh, that's Jesse. Yes, thanks. It said once that you die, have no longer expectation of privacy. Oh, I didn't know that. If you die, you have no more expectation of privacy. But I can see them struggling with that. Like, it's almost, dare I say, the A word, abortion. When does life begin, and when do you have rights? And I guess the opposite is true too. If you die, when do you cease having rights? Interesting, right? But these are huge topics.
How do you get a lawyer at that point?
That's what I mean, right? Exactly. Well, your family, your estate could, I'm sure. Shane said, I think if police have released the photo, journalists have the ethical green light to share it. If police haven't released it, he tends to think that it would be unethical to share. And that's, I think, what that person was saying to CTV. Basically, they went on Facebook. They found out the name of the individual, went on Facebook, and then used that picture and then published it, kind of thing. So yeah, no, these are big questions. These are not simple. There's no simple answers to this. Unethical for the sake of the rest of the family. Exactly. And that's why I just wanted to speak about that. I know when we were talking before the show, Billy, you're basically like, I don't know what else we could say, right? Because it's a very sad situation. And you don't want to kind of go too much into it, just for the very reasons that, family haven't had time to really give it a chance.
Yeah.
But I thought we could treat it with kid gloves and treat it with the respect that it needed, and talk about some things that were topical.
Mm-hmm. I think what kind of happens inevitably in the community too is when these things are talked about, little speculations, start to happen, but these speculations can be like, incredibly devastating for the family, right? Because you're just still pondering questions. I wonder if it was this. I wonder if it was that. But it's, when that stuff kind of permeates through the community, and how those things can run away.
Like you're saying, the rumor mill, right? So if you don't have information, so it could work to the opposite effect. If you don't give certain information out, the rumors kind of go, and it could be more detrimental to the family, the ones that you're trying to protect in the first place. So if through journalism, if you're able to kind of at least, you're the one, you're the one controlling the conversation a little bit more, and you could be more positive for the situation than just people speculating and possibly be, like you said, be more damaging to the family the very thing you were trying to protect. Julia says, thinks citizen journalism type.
Course. A type of course, yeah.
Type course. Oh, yeah, that's right. Like a course you take would be a useful thing to have available, given how quickly the times and how we get our news out have changed. That is true, because we are news unto ourselves now with social media. You know, when we put a post out or whatever about someone or something, it's a type of public, arena. Same thing that news used to have the only soapbox kind of thing, but now we all have our own kind of little soapbox.
Yeah.
Our own platforms. We're all like kind of individual journalists in a sense. Karen says, I assume they would have checked with police to see if next of kin would have been notified. And I do believe I read that in the article that they were. Or with people seeing police at the door, neighbors are going to talk. Anyway, there you go. Exactly. Karen was a bit ahead of us in that conversation. So yeah, so very sad. Condolences to the friends, the family. And as more information comes out, I hope maybe at least through this show, we can give the conversation and the topics the respect they deserve, and we're not sensationalizing or turning it into a spectacle of sorts just for our own purposes, kind of thing. I would never want to do that. That's not what my intention would ever be. But again, we don't know the reasons for this. I don't know if I think a lot of people are looking at a murder-suicide situation. That's what people are speculating. And again, we were talking before the show, and I said, hey, like that, we don't know for sure yet that that's the case, right? So that's speculated. It's not confirmed. So we still don't know that. I just wanted to get that out there as well. We don't know for sure. Yeah. And they're basically looking at, it's an ongoing investigation. So again, today, I think Sudbury.com did an amazing job of covering. If I was working for Sudbury.com, which I'm not, I would do the morning, basically rollout. They have Good Morning Sudbury, stories to start your day every morning. And not only, it doesn't always kind of jive with the morning. They'll use stories from a couple of days ago. It's almost like, and I know the feeling, if you have to do the job, you have to get the stories out. And you're like, we don't have enough stories to make it, timely for what's going on today. But today there was enough. There was no doubt about it to do it. And this is the kind of, if I was to do this segment through Sudbury.news or Sudbury News, I would do it like this. So Sudbury.com, basically, the first story they started with was the one we just talked about. Also, they said that they talked with a friend of the family friend of the family who's also family. He was a relative and was seeing all of the commotion going on, spoke with the reporter, said, just like we're hearing, all accounts saying that this was a very peaceful, loving family. They never suspected anything. They, very helpful to the community. Any interactions they had with them were positive. And so you can read more about that on Sudbury.com. They have not only the article of the incident, they also have the interview they had with the family member there, if you wanted to read more about that. And I'm sure all of the journalists outlets in town are also covering the story as well. So again, this would have been the second story I would have talked about. That today Hashe retires from Laurentian, and he has a replacement already as an interim president. So we're all wondering maybe when that was going to take place. We're all wondering, is there going to be accountability for the bankruptcy, the insolvency of Laurentian University? The accountability we got so far were that board members stepped down, and the president and I believe vice president, I forget the actual other title of the other person, but they are retiring. So the accountability is that they're going to retire. So if you know anyone who's retired before from any organization or whatever,
How long was he there for?
Laurentian University President Robert Hache retirement from university takes effect today. Well, that was yesterday, I guess, October 31st. And another LU administrator, Tammy Egger, I'm just thinking is the pronunciation of the name, will step in as interim president. Sudbury.com has learned. This, as Laurentian hopes to finally exit insolvency in November after undergoing restructuring from CCAA since early 2021. In July, the university announced the impending retirements. I love that. The impending retirements of both Hache and Prévost Mary José Berger. Berger? Anyways, Francais. If you were in the States, it would be Burger, but I'm sure we don't pronounce it that way here.
It could be. I've known some burgers up here.
Okay, interesting, but it's a French name, so Berger.
Yeah, I can't find when he actually started, so to me that would be a question, because who knows at what stage, right, things were in motion.
Yeah, I don't think this was his plan all along to retire in 2022, though. It seemed like as a result, any of the news stories I read was said as a result of this, that the president and the provost. What does provost even mean in university terms? I don't know. It's a position. I'm sorry, I don't know. I should. Went through university.
I can Google it.
There you go. So that was
Is that spelled like the bus line?
Provost. So anyways, so they both, as part of the insolvency, said as a result of that, they are going to retire. Just wanted to get Karen's comment. It might be due to the last story we were talking about. These days with the news, it could be all about who gets the scoop and breaks the news first. And that is 100% right. Because if you get the scoop, you get the news first. Your advertisers will be very happy with you. But again, that's news anyways, right? Like, remember back in the day, Extra, read all about it. The newspaper boy on the corner, wanting to have the story, or that newspaper wanted to get the news out as fast as possible. So you would buy their newspapers, right? Rather than buy the competitors' newspapers. Provost is Marshall. Full name of it. The Provost Marshal is full name.
I got it. That's analogous to that of a department chair.
Okay.
College provost serves as the academic chair or head of the college faculty.
Exactly.
That's what I got.
Yeah, so there you go. That's what her position was, and both of them, I guess. And again, it says in July, the university announced the impending retirements of both of them at the exact same time, on the same day. Or at least that they announced them at the same time, that they're both going to be retiring as a result of the insolvency. So this is the thing, which includes as one of its conditions the renewal of senior management. So you remember the province stepped in and said, we'll help you guys out if you change your management. So even if he was planning on retiring, he had to retire regardless because the province told him he had to. At that time, LU said Hache and Berger were to retire prior to Laurentian's emergence from the CC. Oh yeah? You're firing me? Well, we're going to quit. So that's basically what happened to save face. They were forced out, but they said they're just going to retire instead. It looks better, I guess, on your moving forward if you're ever going to serve on a board somewhere after retirement, which a lot of these people do. They can serve on very high boards, and you get paid to serve on some of these high up boards and places, right? So it's basically you get paid, you got a nice juicy retirement. You get paid to be on different boards. It's great for the ego. I serve on this board, that board, this board. You go to the parties, you're like, oh, what board? I was going to do a voice, but I won't. What board do you serve on? Oh, I serve on this board and that board. So it's a thing. It's a status thing.
Yeah, but it might be better for the the PR of the university as well too.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
They probably
for
don't
sure.
want more headlines and more
No.
digging in the dirt. It's just like let's just move on and try and improve from here.
Yeah, bow down gracefully. So anyways, so at that time they were going to retire prior to the emergence of the CCAA. Edgar, Laurentian's vice president of research, is a full professor in the School of Human Kinetics and research chair of the occupational safety with the Center of Research in Occupational Safety and Health. Oh my goodness. Whenever I hear safety and health, I just think of regulations and red tape, and that's just, oh my. Yeah. So the chair of occupational safety with the Center for Research in Occupational Safety and Health. That's a whole thing, Billy. That's like a whole thing. Occupational safety and health.
Yeah, it is.
I won't even get into that.
It's one of those balanced things we talk about where sometimes it's a little bit off the charts in one direction.
Yeah. I think it's the pendulum way over to one side. Businesses had to put up with this occupational safety and health thing. It's just been a quagmire. They just come into your business and they see the weirdest things and say, you got to do this, you got to do that, costs exorbitant amounts of money. It's a strain on business. And even in offices, you have to have someone in charge of health. Part of every meeting we have is like, okay, health and safety. Does anyone have anything to bring up in regards to health and safety? And guess how many things are brought up in regards to health and safety at every meeting we have, Billy? Name it. Take a wild guess.
I couldn't guess.
0.
Zero.
0 things. When you're in an office, how many things are related to health and safety?
Yeah, I guess you really got to use your imagination in that situation.
Craziness. Huge strain on just progress and getting really things done.
Small businesses in a lot of ways. And again, sort of, if you look at like industry in some of the systematic elements that really benefit corporations. And you see this, you really saw this in the farming industry where the government say, well, you need this, this, and this. And only the big corporations could afford it. So, you can't get your regulation. They kind of squeeze out, a lot of the smaller farms and I think in some cases businesses too, where it's, and then once you're at that level, you really got to play by, they kind of almost keep you in that system. And again, I'm kind of referring to like the farming one where it's like there is always huge expenditures, and they keep a bit of that debt model sort of implemented in that case.
Kind of like HR departments, way out of control. Yeah, and they get paid like you wouldn't believe too, because they're in charge of like the pay scales and stuff. They're like, well, look at us, we do all this work, whatever. A lot of people are getting into HR now because they know it's gravy train. You get paid way too much money in HR for what you do. It's just true. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. Okay, anyone in HR says, yeah, but I'm busy. I do this, that, and the other. And so does everyone else. But you get paid double what someone else would. It's just bizarre. And the same thing is with the occupational health and safety. Like you're saying, it's a burden to small business. It really is. And another thing is it comes from the universities. It comes from people researching the crap out of how safe you can actually be. Okay, well, you can be this safe. No, can we be safer even? Let's research how safe you can be. Okay, let's go. Okay. So they go in and then they make whole departments on it. And then another thing universities do too, and this really irks me in media, how when I'm listening to media, they always go to experts, right? Like, oh, this happened in the world. Well, let's speak to the expert on this. We're speaking with Professor so-and-so of this university, blah, blah, blah. And you'll notice it now that I said it. When you're listening to news, listen to the experts they get on the shows. They're professors from universities. You know what they're experts in? Books. And you know as well as I, have you ever heard the term book smart? Oh, they're book smart, but they have zero experience in the world doing anything other than researching things. But that's what the news always goes, oh, there's an economy. Oh, inflation is so high. Let's go talk to so-and-so at the university of this and that and the other. Oh, and they go on and on and on. Why don't you speak to someone who runs a business, for darn sakes? Or someone who's in that industry, running things, making money, doing that, not teaching it to other people. That's a beef I have with Cambrian College now, too. They're starting to offer degrees from Cambrian College. Well, guess who they have to have teach those courses? What accreditations do they need? They need PhDs to teach. At a college, at a community college, you need a PhD to teach. So what does that mean? You have a full-time student teaching your students how to do something. So basically they're teaching the class, well, what I learned from a book was this. Oh, really? And they're passing on their knowledge of what they learned from a book. No experience in a field, because do you know how long it takes you to get a PhD? Basically half your life. And then if you're going to teach at a college, the next half of your life is teaching. So you went from learning to teaching. Where'd you go to actually learning from doing? You went from learning to teaching. Well, you got to get out there and learn for yourself and then teach it, I thought was what happened. So anyways, a bit of a rant from me there. I had to get that out at some point. Because it used to be community colleges, right, Billy? Like you had some real world experience and you're bringing that because it's hands-on, it's applied arts and technology, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the thing with the a lot of the college instructors is that they actually come from the field, right?
exactly.
So
That's the benefit.
That's kind of the difference in college and university. So, I mean, couldn't the argument be made that in colleges you have, this kind of bit of a balance to it now, where you've got a little bit of both?
What do you mean, like PhD teachers and people that have real world experience?
Yeah, I'm not too sure how it's being implemented,
Yeah.
but
you know
I'm
what
thinking
happens in
they're
that case? If you let that in, if you let that kind of thinking in and you let that culture in, what ends up happening eventually?
Well, we'll see where it goes, I guess.
Okay. Well, you're a little more, I guess, you're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say once PhD mentality starts getting in, it's like, well, why do I have to have a PhD? And they don't have to have a PhD to teach. Oh, that's right. So once you raise the bar to that, and then it's the prestige of the college too. We have 7 PhD teachers at Cambrian. Oh, what if we had 20? Oh, we can get more funding. Oh, we can get more funding if we have more PhD. It's a vicious cycle. And then once you know it, then the news is calling people who work at Cambrian College to be the expert on something who's never actually done the thing. They only read it in a book. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of trades and stuff at Cambrian College. And, I think when you have industry that actually plucks sort of directly from the school, they give a lot of direct feedback as to sort of like what they, would like to see in their, I guess the graduates in terms of skills that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that there would still be some kind of direct influence from people, doing the real world application of this.
For sure.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I've also heard the idea that a lot of the employers, like to be able to train people kind of with a fresh palette, like they don't want to have to sort of retrain them from they learned a certain way and they, sort of reverse that too.
Yeah, for sure. Miles is just going back to the need for occupational health and safety, which we got off to this story because now the interim president of Laurentian University comes from doing research of occupational health and safety, which is of a certain kind of mindset, I think, that's in our culture in Canada mainly, about the union kind of thing. And, everyone needs to be as safe as possible, even to a detriment is what I'm talking about it. But Miles says, yeah, everyone does need health and safety. If you look back to, back in the day, right?
Excellent point. Yeah.
But it can go too far, which if you work at a place, if you work and you don't not work and you work, you know what I'm talking about. That's all it takes, even at the mines. I talked about how many miners, all of the workshops they go to, they're overkill. And the whole industry that's made, you need this occupational health and safety team. You got to have the committee. You got to have all these things. And it is overkill. That's my own opinion. It's my opinion. So that's a good segue for the opinions expressed on this show, meaning Sudbury News Talk on CKLU and Facebook and YouTube, are that of myself and Billy's own point of view, and they don't necessarily reflect that of Laurentian University or that of CKLU. So they are our opinions, and your opinions coming in the comments are your opinions. And what our society today, speaking of health and safety, to keep everyone safe, they're trying to keep your comments away from people because they could somehow hurt their feelings. And so I would be responsible for your comments on this show. That's what our health and safety world is getting to, the point, even in social media. So that's where it's leading to. So you make a comment as, I don't think this. Well, now, because you said it on this show, on this platform, which I own, I'm responsible for what you say. Does that make any sense whatsoever? That's where this has led to, that kind of thinking. Yes or no?
Can you repeat the question?
Well, it all started where we started from, because the new president of Laurentian University comes from that discipline, right? She's the chair in occupational health, occupational safety with the Center of Research in Occupational Safety and Health, which I then go to. Laurentian University, I don't think is going to learn their lessons. That's my particular belief. I think they're just going to go back. I think they're going to go even deeper entrenched to where they were going before. I don't think they learned any. I don't think anyone's going to say we learned a lesson. I never heard any of that verbiage anywhere from anyone, because they didn't do anything wrong. No one's going to admit they did anything wrong. As soon as someone admits they did something wrong, they're the scapegoat. No one wants to be that person. They did something wrong. Oh, it was you. You did something wrong. That's the whole reason Laurentian went bankrupt. No, so no one's going to admit anything. No, well, it was because of this. It was because of that. It was because of this. But the Auditor General said it was because of incompetency, and said the whole management had to go if they were going to help. So they said it was because of incompetent leadership. And so no one came back with, oh yeah, it wasn't incompetent because we did X, Y, Z. No, you can't really stand up to that. Good morning, Tracy. Tracy's just a shout out here. A lot of comments coming in as I was ranting, obviously. We need more old school trade schools. Exactly. There's change on both ends of the spectrum. Oh, dangers. There is danger on both ends of the spectrum. That's right. The pendulum swings too far sometimes.
Well, and I think it's one of those situations, I think that Miles kind of alluded to. It's like, it's an imperfect system, but if you remove it, it's going to lead to, you're going to have a real problematic. It reminds me of that quote about, was it Churchill that said about democracy? It's like, it's a terrible system, but it's the best one out there.
Well, he said, capitalism or something is the worst until you see the alternatives. Right? So, because everyone gets on capitalism, which is a democracy. Yeah, it's democracy, capitalism, that whole idea, right? And he said, until you see the alternatives, it's the worst. So I thought I think there's some neat things in that quote. Drugging. Remember this story? Drugging downtown, those individuals. Mm-hmm. So Greater Sudbury Police continue to investigate scattered reports of women being drugged at nightclubs and bars downtown. This is crazy. In mid-September, Greater Sudbury police began investigating after multiple women were taken to a hospital on the evening of Saturday, September 17th, after experiencing symptoms consistent with that of being drugged while visiting various entertainment establishments in the downtown core. Greater Sudbury Police Service said at the time, detectives with the Criminal Investigations Division were investigating the reports in order to determine the number of women who experienced these symptoms. At that time, we do not have, at this time, we do not have a confirmed location where the incidents have originated. Oh, I guess these people were going club to club. Unfortunately, if they were at one club, they would have known it was there. But they don't know where they occurred. However, we feel that it's extremely important to share this information with our community, according to the media release. In information provided at Sudbury.com, GSPS did not say how many reports they received or how many victims there may be. Police have also not said if testing of the people were who complained of the symptoms confirmed the presence of an intoxicant. So anyways, yeah, I would just say be careful when you're out and about, and any drink you have, make sure that it's got a top on it or something. Were bars and clubs doing this, Billy, as far as, weren't they giving like tops to glasses and things?
Not that I recall.
I thought that was one of the clubs downtown said they were going to start doing that. Like a little paper thing on top of your glass or something, just so, I don't know. I thought they were going to do something. If they aren't doing something, they should.
I wonder why they wouldn't say how many reports they had.
Yeah, that's interesting. They just said scattered reports. Scattered reports of women being drugged at nightclubs.
And it would be a little bit, if it was isolated to one place, that's going to be, that's terrible PR for that place too, in a way that's kind of might be unfair.
Well, and they're all getting terrible PR now. They're all getting it together now. It's like anywhere you go downtown. So it's any club downtown, because it said, so you can there's a handful, of, licensed places downtown, correct? Gone are the days when my grandfathers, one born in 1901 and the other in 1855, both left home at 13 and went on a fishing boat, and the other went on logging. These were the days you barely let 13-year-olds walk to school or walk to the school bus on their own. How times have changed for sure. Society, it's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Hey, we all know our society has changed. There's no doubt about it, for sure. It's a different
I didn't
time.
have to go fishing when I was 13, though. I am a bit soft. I'll say that.
Well, I was on my own pretty much since I was 15. That's close. And I was pretty darn independent before that, because I spent my younger years with my father, and he was a single dad back in the early 70s, which was kind of unique. And because he worked full time, I walked to school and back on my own kindergarten downtown. I was downtown walking to school and back. All kinds of things, making my own lunch, all these, just being very independent. I think there's a lot to be said for that. It taught me a lot. And what could have been good was a lot of nurturing to go along with that independence. I would have had the best of both worlds, but I know a lot of people were very nurtured, which is also positive. I'm not saying everyone should have that kind of an upbringing, but I think at least I experienced that one side, which was very independent, and I think I gained a lot from that at an early age. However, speaking of that, just be aware if you're going downtown and you're drinking at an establishment and you are a female, know that you need to take precautions. You don't want to end up a victim, because human trafficking is such a big deal. We haven't really talked about that on this show very much, but it is a real thing. It's a terrible thing. And you could end up a victim of that just from going out on the town one night. So you just don't want to put yourself. I would say just don't drink, first of all, but not everyone is going to go to that length. So if you're going to, take precautions, and you're the best one to look out for your occupational health and safety and your own well-being. You're the best person to look after that. You shouldn't need a government regulation to tell you really all the time how to be safe. You should really take that precaution on your own. Craig Duncanson was relieved of his duties. Billy, did you know this?
I didn't. Well, I saw it in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Our earlier conversations.
I was surprised when I heard that. Well, because their season is so young. Like, he's so new as the coach. I just thought, wow, he wasn't really given a chance, but I guess they didn't want things getting too out of hand. I have the story here though from CTV. Let's just take a little peek in on this and go.
It's not time quite yet, but hockey season is just around the corner, and the Sudbury Wolves are already celebrating the upcoming season. Last night, the Sudbury Wolves invited season ticket holders and billet families to the unveiling of the new video board.
We already covered that before. Anyways, I had the story all queued up and everything, but I guess it went to a previous story somehow. Anyways, Craig Duncanson, we'll just read it from Sudbury.com. The Sudbury Wolves have announced a coaching change as of October 31st, with the team saying Craig Duncanson as being, quote unquote, relieved of his duties as head coach. Assistant GM Ken McKenzie, described by the team as one of the most successful coaches in Wolves history, must have been the coach before, will step in on an interim basis until a new head coach is found. Duncanson joined the Pack into July. That's how recent, July of 2021. A Pack veteran, a lively native, played 3 seasons with the Wolves in 1983 to 1986 before being drafted to the Los Angeles Kings in the first round, 9th overall in 1985. Wow, must have been a remarkable hockey player. We'd like to thank Craig for his time and effort with the team, said Wolves VP and GM Rob Papineau in a news release. He holds a special place in our franchise's history as one of our highest drafted players and also as an alum who coached the team. He is a great person and wish him nothing but success in his future endeavors. So yeah, I think the Wolves season, they're currently last place in their division, and it's basically spelled the end for Craig Duncanson. What are your thoughts on that, Billy?
It could be one of those situations where you just gotta shake things up and get a whole new hand of cards.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if again, what I would have done. In the NHL, you see this a little bit more because they're a little more competitive. It means a lot more. They have a huge, media presence about these teams. Each one has their own channel half the time, and they're always talking. And so a lot of times they talk themselves into a frenzy and they want blood kind of thing. And so that's what happens. But here, I didn't hear too many people saying too many negative things, that it was the way the coaching was done, that was one of the reasons why they got off to such a slow start this season. But it is what it is.
Sometimes you just get like a fresh energy vibe when you change things up like that, and a little mindset shift happens. We're at a new era now.
It's true. It's a new era. Well, we'll have to see if the coaching change will make a difference in their playing. Duncanson is a local boy too. Yeah, lively, for sure. So on that note, we got to leave it there. Billy, when will you be back on Sudbury News Talk Live? Is it tomorrow? Is it Thursday? Do we need
Thursday.
to just? It will be Thursday.
Yeah, is Thursday good?
Thursday's awesome, Billy. Any day you're on this show is awesome. So just gotta say that.
Well, thanks.
Thanks for being with us, Billy.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being with us, everyone. It was a great show today. I thought we talked a lot of. There's a lot of truth being spoken. Well, at least you let me go on a rant, Billy, so I appreciate that.
I like your rants. I just take
Thank
it all in. You say a lot of stuff that needs to be said that isn't said very much. So I do appreciate that.
I do take the angle of a critic a lot of times, and I don't want to be critical. I just want to make sure that we have some checks and balances in place. Can't help but wonder if firing the coach had anything to do with the comments he made regarding the KED relocating the team to a new. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I'm not familiar with those comments. But yeah, Brian, we'll maybe look into it and have more about that. Have a great day, Tracy. Jerome, thank you. Thank you, everyone on CKLU 96.7 FM. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, and have a wonderful day. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.